Okay, in this short video I'm going to show you very quickly a couple things that LLBLGen can do for you. First, we're going to go ahead and download it. It's LLBLGen.com. And just go ahead and get the demo here. You'll actually get a 30-day demo. So let's go ahead and download this. Now that it's downloaded, what we're going to go ahead and do is just install it. Go ahead and copy this path here. Okay, now that it's fully installed, we'll just go ahead and get out of this. And so what do? What we're going to go ahead and do is just open it up. And it's actually very simple to do anything. Basically, all we have to do is just find out what we want to do. Okay, we actually have a database in here, Northwind. I have a few in here I can play with, but Northwind just seems to be the most logical. And this is actually a fixed up version. If you know anything about the Northwind database, you know that it's very horribly designed. It has stuff like orders, customers, and you never have plural table names. So I went ahead and fixed all that up, and now it's actually designed correctly. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to create an abstraction layer for Northwind. All you have to do is go over here and say File, New Project, and let's name it Northwind. Add the creator here, and let's go ahead and put this somewhere. I'm actually going to want this to be, there we go, somewhere under there. Copy that path. Actually, I'm just going to use Windows Authentication. I'm going to do Northwind, and then I just want to do the tables. Now, you can go ahead and do a bunch of different catalogs here, a bunch of databases, and you can go ahead and do all this other stuff too. I'm only going to want to do tables because, for the most part, everything that I'm going to be doing kind of going to replace store procedures. I can have store procedures and call them with ADO.NET and all kinds of stuff, but I don't have anything that actually does like reporting or anything, so I don't need them at this point. Everything I'm going to be doing is going to replace the store procedures. So this is all I need. There's some basic information telling it what it's going to be called and whatnot, which is actually useless information. I'll explain in a second. And then the database driver, as you can see, it can abstract a bunch of different things. The server name, authentication, what it is, and what am I going to abstract. This is going to create, and it's going to go ahead and scan the entire catalog, and that's it. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is just add some entities here. What you have to do is say right click, and then we just want to add some stuff from tables. So I want to go ahead and add all these guys. I can go ahead and pick and choose what I want to abstract, but I want to just abstract everything. And I can play with some stuff and do all kinds of other things. You'll see that I can rename these or do whatever, because this is going to be the entity name, the objects we're going to be dealing with, mapped upon what table. So I just want to go ahead and say add. And that's about it. So at this point, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just generate F7. And what I want to go ahead and do is I want to pick what kind of generation I want to use. I actually want to use this one here. And I want to go ahead and use SQL Server. And the namespace I want to use for everything. This is going to be the northwind.dal. And this is where I copied that one guy. This is where I want it to go. This is why the other information was completely useless, because this is what really matters. Let's go ahead and generate this. And while it's generating, we'll go ahead and go to that folder. And we'll see that it's going to start throwing out a bunch of stuff out here. Okay? And go ahead and we can go ahead and close this at this point if we wanted to. Save it so we can modify it later, but we don't need that. We'll just minimize it for now though. And you actually see it made a lot of files here, and they're all going to come together in one big abstraction layer that we're going to work with at the end. And you can also see it went ahead and made a C# project for us as well. So let's go ahead and use this, but we have to use it somewhere. So let's go ahead and create a project. Let's close all this stuff. We're not really going to be dealing with this either. We won't be going back to this. Now let's go ahead and start a project here. Something simple. So let's go ahead and start a Windows app. So we have this project. What we're going to go ahead and do is add the abstraction layer. Right here, just want to add it in. And now we just have it right there. Let's go ahead and add a couple assemblies here. I actually copied the path earlier, but I went ahead and overwrote it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just browse to a little path here. You could actually do it from the .NET selection menu here, but I like to just do it manually. So there we go, we have the required assemblies, and now there's one more, of course, and it's the project. The other thing that we're going to need is actually the config file. The configuration file is actually going to have how we're going to go ahead and connect to the database. And since I don't have a config already, I'll just go ahead and copy it straight out. So there we go. Now we've done all our preparation work to actually start doing development. That's all the overhead there is. From here on out, there's no more overhead. So let's go ahead and do something. Let's go ahead and in our form load here, just play with something. Something really simple. But first, let's go ahead and go over here to see what kind of data we're working with. I want to actually do something with the customer table. Something really simple. I want to pick some guy out here. Here we go. And let's just go ahead and look at this in the code. What I want to go ahead and do is create an entity. Customer entity, and this is 2005, so we go ahead and right click and add that namespace. Okay. It's a customer. This represents some entity, some record, basically. So now we have some customer. We can go ahead and do something with this customer. This customer has a bunch of different things in here, as well as the things that actually are in this table here. So there's going to be a phone and a fax and all kinds of other things. So there's the phone and there's fax, and they're already mapped on there. We can go ahead and put some stuff in there if we wanted to. And then we can go ahead and save, and it would of course be saved. It'd just go ahead and add it to the table. What I want to go ahead and do is actually load something up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is give it the primary key. We'll see right here it takes customer ID, and I don't know what that was. A-R-O-U-T. A-R-O-U-T. So there we go. Let's go ahead and do a quick message box and see what we're trying to get here. Company name. And just go ahead and run that. There we go. So that's really all the work we had to do. Now, normally in ADO.NET, there'd be a lot of overhead every time you wanted any type of operation. There'd be, of course, you have to do the SQL connection, and then the connection, blah 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 blah. Then you get the SQL command, and then you have all kinds of other things on the line. There's a lot of overhead for everything that we do, but as I say, we did all the overhead straight up front. All the overhead's done with. Now from here on out, it's pure productivity. So let's go ahead and just move on from this and talk about working with a whole set of data, maybe a whole data set, a whole data table here. Okay. So what we're going to go ahead and do is work with collections. So we'll work with the customer collection, which is actually in a different namespace. It's actually beautifully separated. Let's go ahead and remove that. We don't need that. I added that for my little SQL connection, which we're not using. So we'll go ahead and create customers here, straight up. And we're going to say customers get multi. Just send it in null for now. Don't worry about that. And now we have some set of data we can work with. Now, we're working with the whole data table, basically, right? A whole set of data. Well, let's go ahead and make that do something for us. Let's go ahead and put a data grid view on here. Actually, we're going to need this to be kind of big. Okay, what's this guy called? Alright, data grid view 1. So let's just go ahead and really quickly just add the data source here to customers and run that. Magically, it just goes ahead and connects it. So you can see there was basically no work needed there. No overhead of any of the ADO.NET stuff or anything. Now, say we only wanted some subset of this. Well, that's interesting. Let's see if we can find some pattern we might want to get a subset on. Okay, country. Let's go ahead and find everybody that's in Spain. Well, in here, of course, it'd be where country equals Spain. Pretty simple, right? Now, how do we do it over here? what we have to do is we set up a predicate expression. Okay, that's a different namespace. And this is actually from one of those shared assemblies that I was talking about. This one is actually the North Wind DAL that I created. This one's one of the assemblies from one of the namespaces in the assembly that I actually brought in. So let's call this filter. Let's just go ahead and add a filter. Okay, predicate factory here. Oh, another namespace. Let's go ahead and it's a compare value one, and you want to go ahead and do a customer field index, another namespace, of the country. Okay, you want to do it equal to. You'll see that you can actually do greater than, equal to, less than, or not equal to if you're doing like numerics or something. We're going to do equal to, and you want to do Spain. I believe it was just straight up Spain, nothing fancy about it. Okay. There's that one, there's that one. Okay, then we go ahead and give this guy that filter. Okay? And now, watch this. You'll see now we have just a Spain. It's pretty simple. Now let's see if there's any other patterns we can deal with in here. Here we go, here's something. Account manager. Accounting manager, rather. So let's go ahead and add something else. Just copy paste this, right? What are we dealing with? Add with and. Whoops. Okay. We're doing another one here. And I have no idea what that was. That was contact title. Contact title equals something. Equals this guy. Okay. Let's go ahead and run that now. And now we have everything in Spain, and they have this contact title. Okay. Now, say we actually wanted to iterate through that. Let's get rid of this, and now we can actually go ahead and say, for each customer entity, remember the entity we just talked about, this is a customer, in the customers, and now we can just play with each customer. Let's go ahead and do a quick message box, show, customer, company name. Is that going to be different on each one? Yeah. Okay, so that's a good test. Let's run that. You can see now we're just whipping through them. Those were the two that, this guy and this guy. See that again. Okay, so there you go. Pretty simple. So what we just did here, we created a customer's collection, and then we did some little magic here. We went ahead and created a filter. Okay? And this filter, we go ahead and say we want this to equal that and this to equal that, and we add it in there, and then we can iterate through it wherever we need to. There's actually a magical trick in C# you can actually do, and let's see here. You want to say new predicate expression. Very simply go ahead and just add something weird in here. It'd be something like whoops. See, it's a little trick you can do in C#. Add something very simple in there. Let's go ahead and see that over here. You saw they actually added another namespace. And let's go ahead and do the contact title over here. This guy over here. Forgive me for bouncing back and forth so quickly. So now our code's a little bit simplified from C#. Okay? So we went ahead and added this filter. We're filtering on this, and then we're doing something, okay? Now, there's all kinds of other things you could do in here. Now, in terms of relations, how do we want to do something with relations? Well, let's go ahead and come up with some kind of something we could do with relations, okay? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is find some code I wrote a little earlier. Find it real quick. There we go, a little bit of movie magic for you. Paste this guy over here. Okay, so we're getting something from the order detail, joining it to the order header, and then joining it to customer. And now you want to find basically all kinds of stuff on the order detail and customer using the country. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what happens here. So I have all these company names, unit price, and quantity. Alright, I want to go ahead and do this in LLBLGen. Okay, I don't want to have to create a store procedure and call it and do all this kind of stuff. I want it to be somewhat flexible, and I want the power of strongly typing. I want color, color coding, and I want it check to compile time and all this good stuff. So what we're going to go ahead and do. Let's go ahead and just do it. get rid of all this. What we're going to go ahead and do is create an order detail collection called details. Whoops. Details. And let's see what we want to do here. We want to go ahead and join it across. So let's go ahead. There's actually a relation collection. Relations. Okay. And then relations, we want to add something in. Well, what we want to go ahead and do is create a chain, basically. We want to chain from order detail, chain it to order header. Chain, join, same type of word, basically. You want to join them across. So let's go ahead and say order detail entity relations. We're going to go ahead and join it to the order header using this guy. Okay. Let's go ahead and add that in there. And I want to add one more. This one's going to be from order header entity relations, and that has a relation to customer using the customer ID. So now we have it joining across. Okay. Now there's actually a filter in here, so let's go ahead and have a predicate expression. Should call those filters to be consistent. Typing too fast there. So let's go ahead and add this in here. Let's do a short circuit here as well. New predicate expression. Customer fields country equals USA. Okay. So now we have that, and let's go ahead and details get multi using using filters and then relations. There we go. And now what we want to do is we want to look at this data right here. Let's just kind of look at it. This is kind of not doing anything fancy. Just to kind of stare at it real quick. So let's go ahead and do a for each on these guys. For each order detail entity detail in details. Okay. Let's do a quick message box show string format 0, 1, 2, 3. And what are we talking about? We're talking about, I believe it was company name. Let's go ahead and do details. And now we're in the orders details collection, okay? So we want to go to the order, detail. We want to go to the order header, the customer on that, and you want to get the company name. That's the first one we want to put in there. Unit price, detail, unit price, once again, typing too fast. Unit price, detail, that is quantity, okay? And the last one's going to be those two multiplied together. We're going to need two of them. See how we did there. Okay, okay, okay. Let's just look at the fourth one here. 18,472. There we go. So there we go. Really simple. And this is going to go all the way through this whole list here, through 352 of them. Yeah, let's not do that. So there we go. What we basically did here is we started out with the collection. Okay, this is basically what we do anyways. We're starting out with the from, right? The SQL, you understand, is somewhat backwards. It starts out basically, what are we getting from? It's kind of like English, the big, huge, purple, and then we go on with the description. We still don't know what in the world the guy's talking about. Yada yada yada. Cat. Oh, you're talking about a cat. We don't know that until later. So we're selecting all this stuff. We don't know where we're selecting it from. Well, one of the first things that we're going to get over is what are we getting from, basically. What is the basis, what we're talking about? Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and do the joins. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and filter down on that. And then we're going to do something with that. You're going to notice this a lot in the link project. That's basically C# 3.0. This is a lot of this stuff's kind of native to C# 3.0, and doing it this way really kind of gets you in the mindset for that. So basically what we did is very simple. Had a baseline, add the relations, filter down, do something with it, okay? I want to show you two things really quick. Let's go ahead and get rid of this so we don't have that long iteration every time. And something really simple. I want to get some kind of aggregate here, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the quantity of something. We're not really going to be dealing with all this, so it's just kind of there for laughs. So let's go ahead and message box show, okay, details, get scalar, okay, and we want to get price. Aggregate, we want to get the max price, the biggest price. Whoops. Yes, that's an object. So, to string that guy. There we go. That's the highest price in the unit price. Is that right? Max unit price. Yes. So there we go. And we can go ahead and do all the other kinds of things on that too. See, aggregates are really simple. Okay. That's all he basically did. Get the scalar of whatever, right? Max. And we have all these other guys. What are we looking at? Statistical stuff, you know, whatever. Right, okay. So there you go. Put that back so it doesn't look funny. And it'll actually compile. One last thing I want to show you is something that is very important to any business ever. Transactions. You actually just got to create a transaction. You're going to have to give it two things. One, the isolation level. Read committed. That looks good. And then give it a name. You know, fancy name. And then we can go ahead and do anything we need to with it. So, order detail, entity rather. Order detail entity, some detail. I'm going to go ahead and just whatever, right? Order detail, and we'll go ahead and set the detail, set the quantity of 3 or something, and I'll go ahead and do detail, save. And this is going to go ahead and save something as 3, unless it has some null or something. Maybe I can't save it. Maybe there's a constraint in there somewhere. But, you know, understand that, you know, given that I had enough stuff, this would save it. But this wouldn't save, okay? This wouldn't even come close to saving. Now, if I'm actually thinking, you know, thinking about doing stuff right, we can go ahead and do something like this. Roll back, do a commit here, and do a dispose here. So there we go. Create a transaction, do some kind of transactional stuff in here, do a rollback, do a dispose. One thing that I'll find myself doing is finding myself doing something with some weird method out in the boonies somewhere. It'll be calling out, sending the transaction in, doing something, and yada yada yada, and I'll be getting the transaction back, and I'll be doing something across all these different guys, and this one transaction will still hold across all these different objects and calls and everything, and it works with complex objects and all kinds of stuff. And there we go. It's really nice. Let's go ahead and undo this guy. So transactions really powerful. Like I say, you can do this kind of transaction, and then you can do transaction with complex, and LLBLGen is very powerful. It's very compatible with everything you ever need, and it's really a bottomless pit. You know, saying that LLBLGen is just an ORM mapper is like calling .NET a library, calling Firefox a web browser. These things are much more powerful than most people think. Much more powerful. So it'd also be like calling Office just the productivity suite just for users. It's a platform. It's a whole development platform. And this is not just an ORM mapping tool. This is a massive, massive, massive abstraction tool. It's very powerful. You can actually look at documentation and just fall into a bottomless pit of amazingness. Let's go ahead and bring this up real quick, and I'll show you one last thing very quickly. That was the last thing technical, but this is the last thing in the whole video. You can actually look at all these great samples and see a lot of work that has already been done for you. How do you create an entity? Well, okay, that's not a big deal. Blah, 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 save. Well, okay, that's simple. How do we do this? How do we do that? All kinds of stuff. And there's all kinds of other objects too. I didn't even talk about the type list or type views. I didn't talk about the whole adapter scheme. We were working with the self-servicing. There's all kinds of things. And it's really a bottomless pit. Once you get into it, you'll absolutely love it. Now, how much does this guy cost is really the big picture. Let's see here. It actually costs $3,000 per seat per year. Yeah, right. No. It's actually very cheap. It's actually $270 right now. It actually varies depending on the exchange rate, but it's $270 now. For what? And $270, it actually covers everything. It's not like $3,000 per seat per year, or even $3,000 for a company that actually requires thought. It's $270 for for the entire department, the entire division. It's a whole license for like everybody. So there's really no thinking even about it. This is one of those things that you just kind of buy and expense it. This is not a lot of money. So I highly recommend everybody get it, and if you need more information, you can come to this website and you can just kind of look around at all the great things you can do, and you can go ahead and get the demo. I highly recommend you get the demo and play with it, and I highly recommend you just dive into the documentation. The documentation is very awesome, and you can do it in the beautiful C#, or you can do it in the legacy VB.NET stuff, or you can do it in whatever language you want to, as long as you can translate it in your head. This is .NET. It's good stuff. So that is LLBLGen. I hope this video was somewhat useful to you.